Actually, I would just give it to my mom. She felt like someone smirked at the way that I could not hit the shuttle when I was very, very young. I mean, I don't know why she takes these things personally, but she did that, and then she was like, "I'm going to put him into badminton." She wanted me to win so badly. That's the bottom line. But if she got angry with me, I was getting scared. Gopi sir, who's eventually became my coach for most part of my career, he was living as a tenant in one of my family's flat. It didn't hit me until for a long time, maybe 17, 18, that I need to figure out my career. I remember once I just opened the cupboard of my father and saw his wallet had 10 bucks in it. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is that? In Vishakhapatnam, that was under 13 years. Imagine until under like the next 6 years, I didn't win a single tournament. And you can take Saina. From the moment she stepped onto the court, she was winning everything. I was scared to win, not scared to lose, actually scared to win. My coach was so harsh to me. He just told me, "You are a loser. Go sit there alone. Contemplate on this match." I know I screwed up. What did I practice and what did I play? I remember that match stuck with me. It just felt like nothing can go worse now. There was no future in sport at that time, you know. Sport has grown like multifold now. Hyderabad, for instance, in 2002 had probably 20 to 25 badminton courts in the whole of Hyderabad. Now it probably has 5,000 to 10,000. Nowadays, what is happening is the involvement of parents is too much. I see so many people just coming and playing. I hope they move to badminton more than pickleball. Pickleball, by if you play doubles, there is no physical effort to it.
Hello, Kashyap, and welcome to Raising an Athlete.
Hi.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the conversation today. I'm really looking forward to talking with you your own journey as a player and now as a coach, how the badminton ecosystem has changed in India, and really the insights for sports parents and young players who are pursuing or aspiring to take up the sport competitively. So before we begin, I think you had an inspiring journey emerging among the biggest badminton stars in India. You were the first Indian badminton player to reach the Olympic single quarterfinals in 2012. And what amazed me was that you were about 4 years old when India last won a badminton gold in Commonwealth Games, when Syed Modi would have won, I think, in 1982. And 32 years later, you ended that long wait.
82. I'm not sure. I was not born.
That's what I'm saying. So he won it. Next one came 32 years later.
I remember, yeah, it was interesting. Until you reach these rounds, you don't even think about these, these numbers and all these things, because you're very focused on the event, and then you feel like, okay, at that point of time, it felt like you're supposed to win this. I was
Yes.
one of the favorites to win the title there, considering one of the top players from Malaysia was not participating. So it became an open event in between three or four of us, and I was expected to win because I was ranked the highest amongst the others. Yeah, incredible achievement for sure. I mean, I feel great that I was in those situations where I could do something which would inspire a lot of people. You don't realize that when you do these things, but years later, you will realize that. It is for the books. I remember speaking to the players later that, that inspired that I also want to win this title or I want to do like, and yeah,
The gap kind of reduced after that, and I think that is the power of seeing that happen. But before we talk about competitive sport, let's start by talking about your early journey in sports. Now, what inspired you to start playing badminton?
actually, I would just give it to my mom. She was an athlete when she was very young. Her dad was a physical education teacher at one of the colleges, and she was going with him to daily practice sessions as an athlete. She used to compete in sprint and long jump events right at school level. And I think she made it to the district level or the state level. And then, unfortunately, the family was against her to travel to do something. She felt like mom was very conservative. Girls should not do this and that. And, she took it very seriously at that time itself. She, I think, subconsciously, and, she thought about it that, my kids will be in sport. I will put them in sport. Badminton happened so that there was a badminton club. There was a club we used to live in Nigeria for a couple of years. And she introduced me to badminton at that time. And she has a funny story for that also. And, she just felt like someone smirked at the way that I could not hit the shuttle when I was very very young. I mean, I don't know why she takes these things personally, but she did that, and then she was like, I'm going to put him into badminton. And also there was another factor that Gopi sir, who's eventually became my coach for most part of my career, he was living as a tenant in one of my family's flat, an apartment here in Hyderabad. So my parents would be meeting his parents quite often, almost every month, because there were no online transactions and stuff like that. They would collect cash, for rent or something like that. So they would go meet them every time, and they were very close. And then she started taking me to the flat once or twice, and then I realized he's the national champion at that time. I remember 1997, I think.
Yeah.
He was a national champion, and then through him she introduced me to badminton and then put me in the summer camp. I started liking the sport a lot, started liking the process of it. But initial years, I was a very lazy, not thinking much of the future. My mom was very strict. I was not one of those guys who was extremely driven from the start, because I know some of my colleagues were looking at, if I win this national school games medal, or, if I become a good player, I can get a good engineering seat, or, I could do something like this. But I just somehow didn't catch up to that race, even though my mom was extremely stressed and she would always push me. And, I would get punished also. But I just was like, I used to enjoy playing badminton. I used to just like being part of the environment, being part of the training. I used to like it. But it didn't hit me until for a long time, say until maybe 17, 18. It didn't hit me that I need to figure out my career. I think the 10th exams made it a little more serious. And then 11th and 12th, I think the engineering entrance that time.
I think this is something I see very common in many of the athletes that I've spoken with. There is a connection with the parents. And I think there is research also that proves that, early exposure, that if you've had, and this is the importance of playing sport also for adults, whether they've been athletes or otherwise, because it's the exposure to sport themselves which helps them to also encourage children in the journey. But what I really love is the serendipity, these little anecdotes where Gopichand sir happens to be a tenant. It's almost like a message from the universe because, I mean, how often does something like that happen? But what I want
Yeah.
to ask you is that, and a lot of times, and even more so now, when it comes to competitive sports, it's really the parents who are nudging, pushing. They want their children to succeed in certain sports. In some cases, it may
Yeah.
come
Yeah.
organically from certain children who may be very talented. Then, did it shift for you to something you personally fell in love? Do you remember like a particular moment or memory that really sparked that connection with the sport for you?
See, I can just track back a little bit. Those times were different,
Hmm.
There was no academies, there were no dedicated coaches. The process of sport was not there. Now, like it's just like completely transformed.
Hmm.
And then at that time, I would still enjoy playing. I remember, I was a very stressed. I was very scared of losing
Hmm.
initially. I used to enjoy the process of training. I would go. I mean, sometimes I would be lazy, sometimes I would be not, but I would just go and I would enjoy the training. I would just be happy being, punking school here and there, and then, enjoying training. I would like that. But the moment tournaments came or matches came, I just got very scared. My initial experiences were my mom was very upset.
Hmm.
Obviously, she was expecting a lot from me, but I was very scared to lose. And the few times when mom wouldn't travel and I would just travel with the entire group, just the coach would take care of me or mom is not there, I would perform well. And I would just feel like, I'm not scared. I'm not uptight, because of my mom. And eventually I would feel bad about it also, that I want my
Hmm.
mom to be there so that I win before her and she's very happy. But that was not happening. I was always scared, because she would get really upset that I lose, or, and later now, in hindsight, after I gain a lot of experience and see a lot of things, I probably felt, I feel bad for her that she could not handle her emotions,
Hmm.
because she wanted me to win so badly. That's the bottom line. But if she got angry with me, I was getting scared. Instead, I could have been dealt in a different way. But, we can all say all those things. But, if I speak to her, she'll say that because I was strict, that's why you became this player. Otherwise, you would be just like fooling around all the time. There should be a balance between your responsibility also. As a kid, it'll come. I mean, there is a thin line, the parents have to be strict and keep informing them and educating them about where is this going. Like, what is the goal here? Like, you want to get settled down, you want to be financially stable. Is this sport going to help you to do that? What are you trying to do? You want to be successful in whatever you do. The parent also wants the kid to be successful in whatever they do. These checks have to happen. These checks happened very late for me. I could see my colleagues actually doing what they were willing to do. They got the national under 13 national championships final or national champion, and then the guy goes and gets a sports quota engineering seat and he's sorted. I can then track back and said, okay, he was always driven with this because parents were telling him this, you could do this because they didn't see a future in sport. Frankly, there was no future in sport at that time.
Right.
Sport has grown like multifold now. Even a decent level player can get a job as a coach in some of the academies and, so many academies across the board. I mean, if you see Hyderabad, for instance, in 2002 had probably 20 to 25 badminton courts in the whole of Hyderabad.
Hmm.
Now it probably has 5,000 to 10,000 courts. So every kilometer or 2 kilometers, you will have a stadium, which is every residential complex has 4 courts.
Hmm.
Everywhere. You asked me when did I actually realize the love of it? I always loved the sport. That was not the point.
Okay.
My point to get successful was to understand the crunch of the situation of my family. Financially, after the 12th standard, also was a check whether I can do this or cannot do this. And in the span of a year, drastic changes happened. I requested, give me another year, and then I'll figure it out. Otherwise, I'll do a proper graduation course instead of engineering. I'll do something else because this engineering is not happening. Although I was good at school, all this while my mom was equally strict with school.
Hmm.
How I'm getting my grades and am I studying properly?
Yeah.
But again, coming back to the point, the seriousness helped me. The crunch situation, the financial issue helped me. And I just realized at that moment that I'm very good under stress.
Hmm.
Under extreme stress, I'm quite good because from the moment of under 13 years, that first tournament I remember, I was going back. I don't know if my mom will be happy to listen to this, but that first tournament, All India tournament, which we played in Chennai, after that first round, I was going back in the auto to my relative's place. We were staying there. I got slapped in the auto. I got slapped by her because I just totally underperformed. I was my hand was shaking. I just could not play at all. And my
Hmm.
mom was super upset with it. And I got slapped and I got so scared of her that day. I
Hmm.
just got so scared. I was like, she's going to kill me if I don't win, kind of a thing. And
Right.
then it always got stuck to me that, I'm scared if I lose, I don't know what she's going to say. And I always lost, when she was there. And then, but in the hindsight, I think about it, the joy it gave me when I won and she was there to, I realize now,
Hmm.
that why would she do that? Why is she being so hard on me? Because she wants me to do really well. Now she could have handled it in a different way. You don't know what is the right combination. But you need to experiment. You need to try. You need to be strict. You need to be nice. You need to figure the way out so that the kid, finally has to enjoy playing. When enjoy playing, there is no win which is going to come.
What you said, and
Exactly.
being a parent, I realize this in everyday experience that even parenting, it's a very tough job. Really, like kite flying, where
It is the toughest job in the world. It is the toughest job. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Yeah.
आते हैं हम तो हमें ढील भी देनी है और हमें उसे खींचना भी है एंड इट्स नॉट एन ईजी जॉब बट व्हाट आई
Yeah,
डू
it is
वांट
not.
टू आस्क यू इज बिकॉज़ यू स्पोक अबाउट योर मॉम एंड दिस इज समथिंग दैट a lot of parents end up doing because we have so much expectations, we're putting in us so we are so invested financially,
Yes.
emotionally into their
Yes.
success,
Yes.
but sometimes what it ends up doing is it feeds fear in their psyche. There's a
Yes.
sense of fear
Yes.
that builds in, which may impact them perhaps through their life, not just in their sport, but in their other aspects of life also.
You don't know what is the right combination. But you need to experiment. You need to try. You need to be strict. You need to be nice. You need to figure the way out so that the kid, finally has to enjoy playing. When enjoy playing, there is no win which is going to come. And I
Right.
think as kids, it is possible.
Yeah.
Kids are capable of doing things. They
Right.
need to be pushed, and kids can take it.
Okay.
They
Okay.
need to be pushed. Kids can take it, I feel. And there's a lot of time. You can play, you can study, you can do everything. Kids have that energy and they have to face these things so that when the crunch situation comes, they are ready for it. It doesn't feel like they're in a surprise kind of moment.
Hmm.
The more you fail, the more you learn. You will learn from your failures. But again, encouraging parents all the time, motivating you, but again being strict with you, pushing you, and all these things are very important. Nowadays what is happening is the involvement of parents is too much when it comes to an academy. There's centers, they're top level coaches, and I am just struggling to understand.
Hmm.
No, so fickle. There's the moment you have so many opportunities and so many options, no one is sticking and being in a steady ship and
Hmm.
trusting the process for a while. Everyone is like, we want to jump from one place to another place. And I mean, very specific to badminton, I don't know what is happening in other sports, but very specific to badminton, what is happening is kids come 1 2 years, you work with them, it doesn't work, they leave. All the work you've done for 2 years trying to discipline the kid, getting him in the, getting him into the right mindset. Because for so many years, I don't know where he was training, what he was doing. He's coming, how the parents dealt with him, I don't know. But to explain to him the facts of the of
Hmm.
his level, where is he currently, and giving him a clear picture and telling him what are the right things to do to become a top level player. You work that for 2 years, and then suddenly, he thinks that, I'm being too harsh or I'm being neglected. And then suppose he or she leaves. And from where is this coming? A 17, 18-year-old is not making the decision. The parent is making the decision. And it is so tough. I think these are the problems which we are facing right now from, a coaching standpoint.
How did you navigate? Because then you went on to play at the highest levels, right? You
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
12th Olympics, the world top world events, tour events. How did you navigate? How did you come out of that sense of fear of losing? They may have that fear for different reasons, but a lot
You
of
will,
times it's because you're looking for approval from your parent. That is the
yeah,
first
yeah,
thing
yeah.
you're looking for. How did you navigate that fear yourself?
So first of all, I realized I would say if I got to know the situation in the family, which was a crunch situation, we are
Hmm.
not having any money, and then me getting a job was the most crucial thing for my family to survive. There was no money in the families. At that point of time, I felt very serious about, now I have to take things seriously. I have to take control of the situation. And, I have to push myself.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know if it were in if before 2 years I would have gotten to know what it would have been different for me, or I had to mature when I had to mature. That's what I'm saying now. Everything is in hindsight, but
Hmm.
I navigated it through working really hard, really being focused,
Hmm.
because my I was just having fun kind of a thing. I was just like not absolutely. I was feeling bad when I was losing. And feeling okay when I win, or I didn't have any big wins. I didn't win any tournament in India till I was 18. I used to work really hard. My work ethic was high because I was a hard worker. But whatever the asthma issue, where it was always hindering my progress, I was always feeling weak all the time. Every month, once or twice, I would fall really sick. Every
Hmm.
month it would happen. So my body was not improving. A lot of things were happening. So I was in turn scared also. And on top of this kind of crunch situation. So all these things changed. Just I met the doctor who gave me a medication. Gopi started coming into coaching full time. He hired another coach from London who was like more of a military kind of commander kind of a coach. He was who just like bashed me totally and totally changed my psyche from a scared, doubtful kid to a guy who just takes control. And he changed my career totally. These two people totally changed my career at that time, 2005. I can say I got lucky. People came at the right time, right place. This crunch situation happened. Gopi started coaching. He got some other play. And then I met this asthma doctor who said, boss, you have asthma. You have to take your medication and then you'll be better. I started falling less sick and absolutely health improved, got strong. So all these things fell in place. And then I started enjoying the win. I started enjoying my progress, and then there was no fear. Then I got the job. At least now I'm financially stable. It was 2005, 2006. I would get a 22,000, 23,000 stipend from Indian Oil, and that's when I joined Indian Oil.
Hmm.
And that was good for taking care of the rent of my family, daily expenses of my family, and just the basic things were sorted, at least
Hmm.
with that. Otherwise, we didn't have any money at that time. These things made me a little more mature, I would say. That now I'm taking care of my family. Inside I would feel really proud of it. At that time only, I would say like I'm like, what, I am the head of the family kind of a thing. I felt like that. It's very silly to say it
Yeah.
because by 18, until 18, no one even in my family or my dad even gave me a small hint that, it is, it's in trouble. There's no money. I remember once I just opened the cupboard of my father and saw his wallet had $10 in it. And I was
Hmm.
like, oh my God, what the hell is this? It's the same year. And I
Yeah.
was like, what do I not know here? Because no
Yeah.
one's telling me that there is a crunch situation. We are living in a decent apartment. I'm like, how is this happening? So everything is on loans, and bank people are coming and asking for the EMIs or whatever. All this stress was there in the house, but I didn't know anything. And that's when I got to know. I asked my mom questions. She told me, and I got a little more serious. I was spending a lot of time, meditating, yoga. I just did whatever I could, because I was a scared kid. But I would say these people changed me totally. I mean, I got lucky like that. I would say I got lucky because I cannot remove the factor of getting lucky or being blessed. Say Gopi decided to extend his career for 2 more years and didn't start the academy. I
Yeah.
don't know what I would have done. I'm not saying I wouldn't have become anything. Things
Right.
would have fallen in place because I really worked hard and I had parents who were pushing me.
Yeah.
But you just, on the hindsight, you think that, what if he did 2 years later? What if this Tom, this coach who came from London, would have not come? What if, this academy wasn't being set up? But it fell in place. I cannot remove the factor that I was very, very hardworking. I mean, my fundamentals were very strong because of the coaches from the start, from my parents also, from my mom also. He used to take me daily, and then everything hit me. Now this has to happen. And I was also like, I was speaking to seniors. I would always be interacting and searching for, what is the edge? How do I get better?
So, what I hear you say, even in the fear of losing that we were speaking about, it is the support that you found from the coaches, and it is the sense of responsibility that dawned upon you that
Yes.
sort of took it as a challenge and you were able to
Yes.
overcome that. Did
Yes.
that fear ever bother you at the highest stages? Did you ever
Of
go into
course.
things where you,
Of course, we'll have different, at every stage in the career, there are different fears. Now you've got the job, now you have reached a certain level, now you are wanting to get into the Indian team, the senior Indian team. Then you are wanting to fight for a spot for this, for a spot for that, qualify for the Commonwealth Games in 2010 in Delhi, qualify for the Olympics. Every time there is fear, every time these challenges. But you are going to face up for it. Even if you fail, you are ready to fight again. These things are
right?
starting long before,
Mm.
several times I have started. I was competing in tournaments since my first national championships was 1997 or 1998, if I'm not wrong, in Vishakhapatnam. That was under 13 years. I was under 13 years. And so imagine until under like the next 6 years, I didn't win a single tournament. And I had, say, you can take Saina. From the moment she stepped onto the court, she was winning everything. She was winning
Right.
absolutely everything. She was absolutely driven. At 10 years old or 11 years old, mom is telling her, you can win an Olympic medal. I mean, you're just talking about those things. Here you're talking about nothing. I mean, I'm just like a scared kid. And I have several other colleagues have different Srikant Kidambi had a different complete. He was not even interested to play sport.
Mm.
Randomly he was just playing because his brother is playing, or he just came to the academy to play doubles, and he just fool around and just have fun. And he
Right.
was like a basic, but he was exceptionally talented. I don't think even he understood it, that he
Right.
was just like, the moment he stepped onto the international scene, he started winning tournaments. And then there's another guy, Pranoy, who's fought all his career, has always been second fiddle to, three or four players. And he got all his wins in the last year when he was 33 years old. So
Right.
everyone's journey, story is so different, so unique. There is not one way to gain success. This is the way you have to do it. Otherwise, you are not going to fail or something. But the fundamentals are you keep working hard, you find your small, small spots and try and achieve them. Keep pushing. If you hit the right people, you keep searching. Yes, you have to stay steady. It's a tough process. Sport is tough.
Yeah.
Sport is, and I would just say you have to be very patient. Times were actually different. Our times were easy. No social media, no phones, no interaction with other people. You don't have any clue what is happening next door. Now I can open my phone and I know what is happening across the world. I know everything. I have so much content to, and I feel we have so much content, but we are not knowledgeable. The kids, I don't feel the decisions are knowledgeable. They're not steady. They don't stick.
Mm.
Very fickle. Parents, very fickle, not steady. Always searching, not satisfied. Want very, very quick and immediate results.
Mm.
You have to stick. If you're giving a coach a chance, or if you're giving some center a chance, you'll have to stick for a while for the person to understand you, for seeing progress, for understanding the fundamentals, to learn the skill, to learn the technique, and then stick for a while
Mm.
and then make a decision, because it is a slow process. Because the guy who has to win, who's actually exceptionally talented, doesn't matter where they are anyway going to win. So, and the guy who doesn't have it and who has to learn the skill, they have to stick to a place. It just can't happen that you jump, 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 and then you suddenly are nowhere. I just feel this is my understanding. As a coach, I would say I'm starting from zero. I might be a great player from India, and I might have won, and I might be in the top 10 for so many years. But coaching is altogether a different ball game. It is man management more than anything. Skills I will teach you, technicals I will teach you. What I've learned, I've gone through several programs with several coaches at different times of my career, and I'll have solutions. If this doesn't work, I'll change, I'll change, I'll change. It's all fine. But man management, parents management, all these things are very important, which I'll have to, learn in this process. And I love it. That's the thing. That is what motivates me every day. That there's so much to learn as a coach, and even in badminton, there's so much to learn. The sport is also evolving all the time.
I mean, I really love what you said about that there is not one way of winning. And I think that's very important to know because
Yeah,
while we look at heroes, we kind of stick to one particular story as a template to say, if I didn't have a template, then I'm not successful. So I think it's a very
exactly.
important point for all
Very,
of
very
us to
important.
remember. Just covering your own journey first, is there a particular match that you played, whether you won or lost, which you feel changed the trajectory as a player in a way that people around don't really know? And can you share what you really learned from that particular match or tournament?
Um, I would just say one particular match where things changed a lot was there was a tour where in 2005 only, after this coach trained me for 3 months. I mean, maybe more actually, 4 to 5 months, where he was so harsh to me. I mean, my attitude totally changed. I was
Mm,
a scared kid, always shying away from tough training, shying away from actually being disciplined on court.
mm,
Discipline is not like just showing up every day on time,
mm,
doing things right. No, but exactly on court when, the situation asks for it, you're doing the right things in that moment on court and, skill related things. I remember after 4 months, I played the first tournament and I reached the final, and in the final, I was so scared to win. I would say I was scared to win,
mm.
not scared to lose, actually scared to win, not believing myself that, I can win. And just that you're not accepting that, you can win this match, but if you perform at a high level, otherwise and the way I got treated after that match, that coach was so harsh to me. He almost he insulted me before the entire group. I was the senior most in the academy, and everyone is like 3 to 4 years younger to me, before parents, before everyone.
This was
He
at
was
a
so harsh.
domestic level. This
It's a
was.
domestic tournament. It's a Indian ranking event in Chennai only. Just before everyone, he just said, very. I was just going to the place where all the parents from Hyderabad, all the players from Hyderabad was sitting post the final, and I was just going there, and he just told me, "You are a loser. Go sit there alone. Go there alone. Contemplate on this match. You could have won this match. You didn't win. You are a loser. You don't deserve any sympathy from any one of them. You don't deserve anything. You just go and sit there and just think about this match the next 1 hour. You're not moving from there." And then there was another junior coach who was coming and trying to console me. Kind of, I was already upset, but he already scolded me before everyone. So my face was gone. And he was coming to console me, and he even shunned him out. You're not going to go and speak to him. You're not going to do anything. He doesn't deserve any sympathy. He was rubbish in this match, blah, 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 whatever. And I just went there, and I was like, first of all, I was very embarrassed, and I was feeling like shit. And
Mm,
then I just didn't know how to react to the situation. And I know I screwed up in the match. I know I just did not perform. I was just like so nervous, and it just felt like, what did I practice and what did I play, kind of a thing. And immediately the next week, the next day we were traveling to another tournament in Cochin, same level of tournament. And I remember that match stuck with me. I was like, the way I got scolded and what I did, it just felt like nothing can go worse now. It's
mm,
only upwards from here. In my mind, that switched on. Like, I just felt like, what can be worse than this? You're embarrassed before everyone. You've played shit. You lost this match which you wanted to win
mm.
against a rival. You want to win this match for different other reasons. It was very silly. I can share it, as juniors, as 18-year-old, in my mind, I can say it, although it is a podcast for parents and all. We parents also have to understand the psyche of kids at that time. I liked the same girl as the guy who I played the final with. Didn't speak about it, nothing. We didn't do anything about it, but I just knew it in the camp, in the national camp, and it was became a personal fight for me also. And then I succumbed under pressure, didn't play anything, and then I realized, what did I get out of this anyway? I
Mhm.
mean, why am I'm so bad today that it can't go worse than this, and I got insulted before everyone. The moment I got insulted before everyone, I just felt like there's nothing else which can go worse. I mean, what else can go worse here? I just like opened up my mind. I just felt like I was free now. I don't have any reputation now. I'm just like so naked right now. And then the next tournament was so amazing. I The same guy got in the final and he could not score 5 points against me. Also, I remember the way he prepared me for the final before that final. That match also was very crucial because 1 hour before, he made me do an entire training session before the final, and I was dead tired. But he told me, "You are so fit. I trained you so hard that this is nothing." And when I reached, I took like an hour's rest or an hour and a half rest, and I was like, "I'm so tired, man. What the hell?" The moment the match started, I felt fresh. Like, I'm so ready. And it just opened up my entire, mindset about competing, about the way to prepare for a match. And nothing else matters, just that preparation, being in the moment of the match. Your mom, your dad, your result, who wins, who loses, your reputation, no one gives anything. No, it doesn't matter at all. It's just that in that moment you have to give your best. In that moment you have to play your best and enjoy the game. Result is not in your hands anyway.
Right.
And these kind of things, these small kind of things switched on, I felt at that time. And at least one level I could progress from that junior level straight away in 2 months. Because of that match, I started winning senior tournaments also. And I got my job also because of that. These kind of matches and this kind of coach and this kind of environment, all these things help. So that these two matches, I would say in a span of 2 weeks, these two matches were like totally mind bending, I would say, just totally changed me.
But it is also amazing how it depends on our subjective psychology. Another player can, I mean, a comment like that or the humiliation or the embarrassment of that kind can totally
Exactly.
end up breaking another person
Of
who may actually
course.
end up quitting, etc. So, what I want to ask you is today you're a coach. If you were in a situation like that, when you think about it in terms of a method, it did work for you. Clearly, it showed the results. I mean, someone being harsh. What are your own thoughts from as a
I
coach?
feel I feel if the guy who will wins na, who guy who wants to win, he won't break. He won't break. He will try harder. The girl or the guy who wants to win won't break. They will be there. They kept fighting. They kept pushing because
Hmm,
they love the sport. I don't have many academies at that time, so I'm very lucky. There was only one center in Bangalore, Prakash Padukone Center.
hmm,
Vimal sir was the coach, and then there's Gopi's coaching, which is happening. I don't have any options here, so I was lucky actually. If I
hmm.
had like say 10 other players, 10 other academies like now it is here, I would
Yeah,
just keep jumping the gun. The guy who wants to win doesn't get tired. He
right.
wants to do it. And it's not like he has so many other options. I probably had an option. I would have taken the engineering set or something like that, but I'm already into it. Now I have committed to my mom, I need another year.
Hmm,
I've committed to my mom. I've told her, give me another year. Coaching is happening properly. Stick.
hmm,
And I was responsible. And I knew I have it. I have it in me. And then I knew that this guy is actually pushing me to do better. And I realized that why is he being so strict with me, man?
right.
He
Got
wants me to win. He
right.
wants me to win. Otherwise, if I didn't matter to him,
Yeah,
he would not care. These are opportunities which you have to take, and you want to be a champion, and then you'll have to get a taste of being a champion. You'll have to, it's a habit. You need to get the habit of winning tournaments.
right.
And this is a tournament which you wanted to win, and he took it personally. And later, I got to know an year later that he just came from England and he trained the junior national champion in England, and he wanted it. He was like, this year I want to make sure the junior national champion is from India. I'm training and I was the junior national champion. Later in the next 4 months, I won every single tournament in the junior rank. Only the first tournament I lost, and then the next 4 tournaments I won with the junior national championships. I won the senior ranking tournaments as well. So I just my career transformed. But imagine he trained another guy also.
Mm,
Didn't fail there also because the guy also was like one of my colleagues who fought with me for the World Junior Championships, who fought with me for the Olympic spot,
mm,
Ajay Jairam, and. Later, he retired and he was one of the top. He was in the merit list of ISB. He got a McKinsey job. He's working for Olympic Gold Quest now. And I remember even Tom trained him at a particular point and made him also, into a world class player.
right.
And people who are interested won't fail. They won't stop.
Got
They'll
that.
keep pushing. The guy who wants it now, he won't get tired. She won't
Got
get tired.
So
Yeah.
while we are at the topic
And
of,
I
I
am
mean,
trying to say, what I'm trying to say is my style is also going to be the same thing. You take it or leave it.
hmm,
Because I'm going to push the kid to the extreme because I just don't feel there is any other way. You
hmm,
can't sweet talk people into. See, some people who are know how to win, you don't need to push them. Who are actually behaving in the way a champion behaves, a world class player behaves. They
hmm,
are aggressive when they want. They are very focused. They understand their career, their responsibilities, and then they behave in a certain way, and then they push themselves. You don't need to be harsh to them. You are going to be harsh to the kid who's scared all the time.
Mm.
who's doubting all the time, who's self-doubting himself, who's scared. Whenever the tough situation comes in training, a tough training schedule comes, you're just like trying to excuse by saying, I have this pain, I have that pain, or, I'm feeling sick, or, not showing up for training on time. The coach knows that if he changes the mentality, he can be a beast because he's so skillful, or she is so skillful. If I just change her mentality to a
Mm.
like a horse, like a bull, then it's tough for anyone to beat this person. So I am going to
Mm.
push someone like that. And I
Right.
think as kids, it is possible.
Yeah.
Kids are capable of doing things. They need to be in that kind of stressful environment. They
Correct.
need to be pushed, and kids can take it.
Okay.
They
Okay.
need to be pushed. Kids can take it, I feel, and there's a lot of time. You can play, you can study, you can do everything. Kids have that energy, and they have to face these things so that when the crunch situation comes, they are ready for it. It doesn't feel like they're in a surprise kind of moment.
Mm.
The more you fail, the more you learn. You will learn from your failures. But again, encouraging parents all the time, motivating you, but again, being strict with you, pushing you, and all these things are very important. Nowadays, what is happening is the involvement of parents is too much when it comes to an academy. There's centers, they're top level coaches, and I am just struggling to understand.
Mm.
No, so fickle. There's the moment you have so many opportunities and so many options, no one is sticking and being in a steady ship and
Mm.
trusting the process for a while. Everyone is like, we want to jump from one place to another place. And I mean, very specific to badminton, I don't know what is happening in other sports, but very specific to badminton, what is happening is kids come 1, 2 years, you work with them, it doesn't work, they leave. All the work you've done for 2 years, trying to discipline the kid, getting him into the right mindset. Because for so many years, I don't know where he was training, what he was doing, he's coming, how the parents dealt with him, I don't know. But to explain to him the facts of the of
Mm.
his level, where is he currently, and giving him a clear picture and telling him what are the right things to do to become a top level player. You work that for 2 years, and then suddenly he thinks that I'm being too harsh, or I'm being neglected, and then suppose he or she leaves, and from where is this coming? A 17, 18 year old is not making a decision, the parent is making the decision. And it is so tough. I think these are the problems which we are facing right now from a coaching standpoint.
So, because we're speaking now on mental attitude or resilience or psychology of it, uh, s- and there was not much support in terms of psychology or sports psychologists at that point of time, but there's also a view that you develop resilience through failures, through the struggles. There is no, what is your take on the two matters? So one is that you organically grow, that mental strength is not something that you can do a session, it can be, but at the same time that support, I mean, globally players have leveraged it also, not only in the negative context, it's also for optimizing for best performance, for peak performance, and
Yes,
psychology is
yes.
useful for that. What's your take on that?
It is required. I mean, we need these people in the centers. For us, it was all my coaches. They were the only ones. We didn't know. I didn't even know there's a thing called a psychologist, until, our colleagues from Europe or someone hired someone, and then we would say, oh, he's a mental trainer. He's some Navy SEALs guy, or he's some from Denmark. He's in the military, and then, he's helping out this particular player. That's how I got to know that there is something called this. And through OGQ, a few of them helped us out. I mean, came and spoke, but I didn't feel like, there was anything which was different from what my coach told me. Yeah. And there are some psychological blocks which you have, and the coach tried to sort them out all the time. But I feel the subject is a little more important right now because of the exposure of the kids to so many other things. Time, it was just nothing. If I have to speak to someone, also I have to go to an STD booth, for God's sakes. I can't speak to anyone also. I have to, or the only thing I can do is sit and do, a meditation technique. Sit and, check my breath, or, in a cassette, have a, deep relaxation kind of a thing I would do all the time. I remember that. And otherwise, look at the candle, do a candle, staring at the candle kind of a session, and, watching the breath, these kind of things. Otherwise, there was no call I could do.
Mhm.
And there was nothing I could do. There was only coach. I just called my coach, what should I do? What should I do? I was too hungry. I remember that. I was just like always wanting to, at every minute of the day, I wanted to do what a champion was doing. Now,
Right.
I don't know what the champion was doing. So I asked my coach, because he was a champion. And that got me into it. now I feel the exposure is too much, and it's very tough for the older generation players, supposedly me, to understand the psyche. And the new age psychologists and therapists are required for a kid struggling. If there is no struggle and they're enjoying and they're playing, I don't think you need to stress on that. If you feel that there is the and coaches are well versed actually. In my center, only a couple of them I have suggested that you need to speak to a psychologist, and we made sure that they're speaking to a psychologist, and it made a couple of changes into their thing. They can communicate a little better. The problem is I'm in a academy in Hyderabad in south. There are kids coming from Mizoram, from northeast. Their entire culture is different, the way they think is different, and for them, they're coming here, they just feel like I can't speak to anyone. So then there was this psychologist who could sit down and make him just communicate with me, just speak to me. And then I could realize, okay, then I would tell him, it's the silliest of things, please share. If you feel, don't back off that it is silly. You don't know how. I know all the sillies, so you can just speak to me and I can give you a proper, I can keep you strict, I can be strict with you, and also I can understand you. So, but please communicate, because these guys are away from their parents from the time, they are like 15, 16. There are kids who came from Delhi, from Kerala, from the time they were 10. And then this guy Rohan Kapoor, who's the mixed doubles like number one, number two from India right now. He's actually competing in Japan right now, and he's been there in the academy since the time he was, I think, 10 years old or 8 years old, and he's 28 now, and since 20 years he's there here. And among seniors, parents coming on and off only once in a while, but among seniors, and grew up to be a very disciplined and hardworking kid, and with the level of skill he has, he's reached a very good level. When I look back and think, and so they have grown up into good individuals. And so it's just that he's stuck. He's stuck. He was resilient. Multiple change of partners, whatever it is, he's stuck. I mean, these guys are all fighters, I would say. I want to be that person. I want to be that person because that one champion or one kid, his life will change for the best, and that is what we're looking at. And also, that is kind of, you will have to set a standard to a center, I feel, for myself, that this is the way I'm going to handle things. Take it, I think you're going to achieve something big here. And I can't be soft, soft, soft. It can't happen like that. And then you won't find that diamond, I feel. My coach used to tell me, like, I used to ask him years later, why were you so harsh? He was like, you're not going to, the best will not come out if I don't keep pushing you. I could play my best. It just opened up totally. I want everyone to experience that. At the same time, he was training Saina as well. She was a beast from the start. You didn't have to scold her. You would actually ask her to calm down. You would actually ask her to, back off. Boss, you're good. You're good. You gave your best. You're more than good. She was always going for the best. She would not back off. It is just like it was ingrained in her. Naturally, she had the instinct. Someone like Srikanth had the natural instinct to fight. He didn't respect any opponent, any senior. The moment he came, he was just like a bull, like fighter. So those people, this coach didn't treat them like that. I only got that treatment because I was putting a scared face, backing off when tough things came up. Everyone like that, I just like the guys who are actually doing well, I would encourage them in a different way. But you need to be strict, I feel.
This question I ask for the benefit of the larger sports fans also. When we
Yes,
are
yes.
watching a big do and we see this player, he's been doing really well through different stages, different sets, and now you are on a big game and something shifts. Suddenly the momentum is lost. He looks like a different player. I mean, the entire body language, this certain, as people who are watching on television sets can't quite comprehend. And in fact, as Indians, we
Hmm.
find it very easy to give our own running commentary of saying, kya kar raha hai, aise kar raha hai, you could be doing.
Yeah, yeah.
What is going on in the mind of a player
Trust
at
me,
that
I'll stop you
moment?
there. Trust me, it's not India. It's everywhere. It's Malaysians, it's Indonesians, whoever takes sport personally,
Hmm,
like whoever is like very, like say the way we speak about cricket also.
correct.
We are so involved. It is everywhere. The pressure is absolutely crazy in every other nation also. Everyone is struggling with this.
The mind of the athlete, what has shifted? He was doing so well.
So it depends. I mean, it's a very subjective question. I mean, that particular tournament, that particular match, before the match, after the match, how the match was prepared for, what is the opponent has an issue, or maybe a very
Yeah.
general thing that the opponent, the guy has gotten tired, physically tired at that point, and then you mentally give up because you're actually tired, and then you need to work a little more harder. You don't know what has happened. Very subjective. I mean, this is like, it's different for every match. Suddenly, if I'm off, sometimes 18 pe jaake, I have just gotten very tired. I'm out of breath and I can't gain my breath back. And suddenly you feel like I'm off, and you don't know what has happened. Of course, on TV or, sitting behind, you don't know what has happened. But later I can make an assessment that, boss, I was totally out of breath. I was not able to even like open my eyes. I needed time, breathing space, and the umpire is not giving me time. He's saying play, play, play. And, I don't have that time, and I just had to recover, and I didn't recover. I got out of breath. Now I have to train this specific moment. When did it happen? Why it happened? What I could have done better. And sometimes something else, negative mindset has come into play. So
Mm.
a very, this basic interaction with the athlete was explaining to him that at this particular moment, what should be thought about? What should you think? Now, because I've seen my situation, like say, I remember the 2014 Commonwealth Games run up to it. Almost, I was in the top 10 and of the world rankings. And I remember I played the All England Championships. I lost from match point against a Japanese guy who was world number 3 then. And after that, I played the Japan Open, lost from match point to another Japanese guy. Then I played the Indonesia Open, again lost from match point, leading throughout the 3 sets,
Mm.
leading, lost. Before the Commonwealth Games, the only topic I was discussing with coaches was 18, 19, there's some issues there. I don't know what is happening. Till then, I'm fine. After 18, 19, now my mindset is coming, कि जीतेगा ही नहीं. मतलब, I'm not going to win only. Like, something is happening. I'm like, am I playing differently? What the hell is happening? And is the opponent getting desperate and playing better? Or am I have to get desperate at 19, even if I'm leading? What should I do? Something is going wrong here. And the only thing the coach was telling about, think about the tactics. Forget about what you feel. Doesn't matter. You feel scared to win, you feel scared to lose, think about what shot you have to play. Where are you getting caught? When you're tense, what shot are you playing? What shot you can play? Are you trying too hard technically, and then you're trying too hard to force the point? Just make changes. And it is only a trial and error. There is no one particular thing which is going to work for you.
Right.
Every match at that point, think about the tactical changes you can make. Focus on the next shot. Don't think of win or loss. Anyway, हार ही तो रहा है वैसे भी. Like, that is also
Mm.
very like a thing which he told me. Anyway, you're losing. Might as well think about the tactics of the match and forget about whether you're winning or losing, or what is going to happen if you win or lose. That changed totally for me again. At that particular moment, it just felt. So I think it is from person to person, player to player, individual to individual. You'll have to situation to situation. You know and the most current situation, so All England Championship is fine. It's the first round. It was
Mm.
not a big deal. Japan Open, it was the quarterfinals. Not a big deal. Indonesia Open, third round. I mean, pre-quarterfinals. Not a big deal. This is Commonwealth Games semifinals. Expected to win. And then you're in this crunch situation. It is a big deal because it makes a lot of difference. It's a historic thing. You reach the final, sure, shot a medal. If you lose in the semifinals, you have to play a bronze medal match. You don't know. Basically, the result is whether you are going to be on the podium is still a question mark. So this is a very crucial match. All those things helped me in that match. I just felt, focus on the next shot. Focus on the next shot. Forget you're lost. It's okay. Focus on the next shot. At least play a good shot.
Right.
Quality of shot is important. So I remember clearly at 18 in the third set or in the second set, this was the mindset. It just switched at that time. I remembered everything. For that few seconds I had, I just thought these 3 matches, there's no point actually thinking about this win or loss. You have to calm down and play the right shot.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Fantastic. So I think I'll shift a little before I move into competitive badminton. I do want to ask you that talk a little about value of badminton from a health and well-being point of view. Now it's one of those rare sports that we actually see people all around us. I mean, you'll go in the neighborhood, you'll see some people, people going before their office, they're playing around. It's actually a sport which is loved so universally across the
Yeah, yeah.
country. What is it? I mean, otherwise, sports in India is seen as mainly something for kids. What is it about badminton that really reaches like it's so popular among adults, and what is the value from a health and well-being point of view?
I mean, it is a tough sport, and the fun part about it is that if you get technically a little better, like
Hmm.
absolute beginner, if you get a little better, it becomes tougher. You will want to play with the guys who are actually technically closer to you, and then it gets tougher. Then it gets even more physically demanding, and then you start working out to play better.
Hmm.
And the more you get better, the more your skill improves, the more fun it becomes. I mean, the more tougher also it becomes. And then that is the fun about it, first thing. Next thing is that just overall fitness, it improves your reflexes, eyesight, hand body control, everything for all age groups. I think it is the best, I would say. And nowadays I can see pickleball picking up, but I just feel like probably it is for the very senior citizens. I think it was started in US because of that. But otherwise, badminton for young people and then just like who are office going people, it is. I see so many people just coming and playing. I hope they move to badminton more than pickleball. Where pickleball, by if you play doubles, there is no physical effort to it, I would say. I mean, people are going crazy about that sport. And I'm just thinking that badminton, tennis, these actual sports which
Yes.
actually physically demanding will help your fitness level. Other than that is for just old age people. Even pickleball, if you play, I've played, and if we play singles, then we'll have a good game. If I have an opponent who's equally skilled or better than me, but otherwise, badminton is a like even if you play doubles, also it is a lot of court to cover. Distance is there to cover, and in that way, your reflexes improve, your hand-eye coordination improves. That is why it is more likable. And then, like I said, if you play it a little longer periods, your skill improves, and then the game becomes even more fun. Yeah.
Right. Now, if we speak about badminton competitively, how have, and you've played, I think, generationally from a very long time, how have you seen it change over years? What have been the biggest positives and the biggest challenges that have emerged over the years that you played in terms of training, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of different facets of the game?
Of course, I mean, in the last 20 years, say 2010, 15 years, I would say 2008, 9 was the time when badminton blew up out of proportion. Total credit to Gopi sir and Saina, who changed the scenario of badminton in sport. She became a superstar in 2010, winning tournaments back to back in the world level, beating the Chinese players. That opened up the minds of me also. She's junior to me. She was 3 years junior to me, but of course, she started performing at the highest level way before me, and it just opened the minds of the entire Indian team, entire the whole psyche of India. Her wins, her presence on court, and her wins changed the psyche because everyone started believing that this is possible for us. We can do this. We can beat Chinese also. If you have the right kind of mindset, coaches, training. Gopi and Saina, they just changed the psyche of Indian badminton and Indian people as such, especially badminton players across the sport. Infrastructure, of course, a lot of academies have come up, a lot of stadiums have come up, but I feel it is individuals who are going to grow the sport. Infrastructure is there, but the
Mm.
individual behind that infrastructure is going to make people, champions. And we have to focus on that as a nation. I feel that, the generation of players who are coming and going, they have to be taken care of and they'll have to be assigned actual roles, in the sport, in the national scheme of things to progress the sport. Because without individuals, I don't think administrators can take it ahead. Individuals who are at the top of the sport, at the helm of the sport, have to run the sport. I feel that is one thing which has to switch, which China is doing, other countries who are at the top are doing, and we should do it. A lot of politicians, bureaucrats, and administrators are involved at the top of the sport, which is hindering sport, I would say. That is why we have so many medals as a country, as opposed to we should have a lot more than, because people running the sport efficiently have to be people who have played the sport and at the highest level, finally at the highest level, and the right mindsets as well. It's not a given that a guy who's played at the highest level is the right person for the sport, who's also interested in progressing the sport. The mindsets have to be assessed, and their goals have to be spoken about, and then these people have to run the sport. That I feel is thing. But overall, it's the mental psyche of badminton players, whoever have taken sport, badminton play parents, they see a lot of opportunity. Of course, they see a lot of opportunity. They are seeing superstars emerge from the sport. Times have changed. Unfortunately, the league is not happening. If the league was happening constantly, then the sport would have seen another new resurgence of so many other players, and financial stability. But now, in the last 2 years, I feel it is dropping again. We are going back to old times. Their jobs are not this scarce. The players have increased exponentially, but the jobs are scarce, not like before. And so it is tough times for badminton. It is not very easy. It is tough times. Yeah.
Right. The one thing that has not changed, I mean, so the sport grew in Bangalore and Hyderabad, and they became really the hubs. I mean, thanks to the legacy of Prakash Padukone sir and Gopi sir, and then more academies came in. But everyone needs to move wherever. China would have moved from Haryana because simply all the sparring partners, infrastructure, training, everything is over there. Now, do you feel the centralization in Hyderabad and Bangalore has helped the sport? Or what will it take for the sport to move out of, let's say, those two cities, will it help for it, or does it help to be the centers of excellence in those two cities and for all athletes to go there, or will it help to actually decentralize where there are high quality academies across the country?
Again, high quality academies, ma'am, are actually happening because there are high quality people there.
Hmm.
Now, we are frankly in badminton world terms, I'll tell you, 1994 team was not sent for the Commonwealth Games because the government thought that we are not capable of winning a single round also. Commonwealth Games. I mean, there are only 6 nations there. So that is the level you're talking about badminton was. If you
Hmm.
consider table tennis as a total Chinese dominated sport, and here and there, if a couple of players win a match, you are happy. But actually winning tournaments and tell me being in the top 10 in table tennis. So badminton was that. 1994, 2001, Gopi won All England Championships and he was in the top of the world rankings for 2 years. 20 years before Prakash sir was something. After that, Gopi 20 years later. After Gopi 2001, 2008, Saina made it to the quarters of Olympics. We don't have many high level individuals to make it decentralized and to push them here and there. Academies might open, basics can be taught, but to become a top center, you need top level individuals running the place. And there are a couple of centers. Maybe in 20 years' time, we have champions from every city and they set up centers in every city. These champions also, Pranoy has settled in Hyderabad. Samir Verma settled in Hyderabad. Me settled in Hyderabad. Saina settled in Hyderabad. We have come from everywhere, settled. We've made our careers here and we have settled. Bangalore, there are a lot of people, my seniors who have settled in Bangalore. They are from Bangalore, but they settled. A lot of others also settled. 20 years, we are still very, very like compared to the giants of badminton, world badminton, who have been having world champions since 2000, let's say 1970s, 80s. Denmark, oh yeah, Malaysia, Indonesia, China, Japan. They're all been there for a long time. We have not set up systems. We are setting up systems now. Frankly, only after Gopi became the chief coach, there is a system happening. Year-round camps happening. Physios being in the circuit, in the camp, match in the camp, traveling physios. All players in the best players in the country training together. You know, this happened only after Gopi. Now again, we have multiple centers. There should be a centralized training center. Even in China being so big, Beijing is the centralized training center. All the top players in the sport, there should be a system where all the top players are training together. Unfortunately, badminton, in at least in men's section, women still can get away with it by doing individual training because the coach sometimes is already a higher level than the women's singles player or the women's player. So he can do a good job in a practice session. But for men, you need a group of players who are good enough and all are competing against each other. It's
Right.
very tough to handle it individually with a certain single coach. It is not possible only that you are going to progress in a you need a competitive environment in practice. Your sparring should be at the top level. You need top coaches handling you. So you need a centralized center. If you decentralized it and if say suppose you, me, and then another 3, 4 colleagues of ours are all top players in the country, you're playing in your own center, I'm playing in my center, everyone else is playing, no one's going to progress.
Got that.
We are actually hindering ourselves. You can have feeder centers where the next level of players are training and different at their own locations, and then when they progress they can come. But it's not possible to progress in your level at one center. If you decentralize it and put it everywhere else, which we are trying actually. A badminton federation has set up a center in Guwahati. Their center is there in Guwahati, so at least some of the players are training there, and some of the players obviously are training in the Bangalore center, and some of the most of the players are here in Hyderabad. But I still believe that all the top players at a certain age group should train together. It's not a competitive environment. I'm also 2 years into coaching. I'm trying to understand the situations. Some things I still trying to get my head around it, and because I have come from a particular system where
Yes.
Gopi has set up these national centers and we all used to train together, and I remember how much it helped me. That if I was good in training, I was good at the world level because I had so much different kinds of sparring, different kinds of practice sessions with different players, and so competitive in the practice itself that if I was good in practice, I was good outside. I was not looking for exposure all the time outside. But now every individual is training on his own and then he's traveling a lot. Maybe there's more money. That time I didn't have so much money to travel everywhere. Now the kids have more money and then they're able to make these options happen for themselves. So I'm just trying to figure it out. I will stick to my feeling that, all the top players, at least in a certain age group, every age group, say all 19, 17-year-olds, all 23, 24-year-olds, all of them have to train together. and
Got it.
then you can, there is a high competitive environment happening at a particular place, and they're all going for tournaments together, competing amongst each other. The in-house competition is so strong that you will get an eventual champion from there.
Right.
Yeah, and that's how China is doing it, Japan is doing it, Indonesia is doing it, and we are a little scattered.
Another thing I want to ask you is that there may be different motivations why people take up a sport. In your view, what you've seen around you, what is the primary motivation why people, like kids, are taking up badminton? Some may do to represent the country, for scholarships to study overseas, or find a job. What is the primary motivation that you see for parents or for children who are playing badminton?
Oh man, this is a tough question. Primary motivation for everyone, I mean, it's
Sports, you can
broadly,
see. Like, for example, in
broadly,
tennis.
I think to teach them the fundamentals of, life, just discipline, hard work,
Okay.
facing losses, or understanding how do you behave when you win, being humble when you win, being resilient and, determined when you lose, and these kind of things. Because,
So when they're joining these academies, you feel they're doing it for their
of
health,
course,
for health and well-being, and not really from the outcome of saying, "Okay, I want this guy to become an elite badminton
your
player."
motivation might be anything as as a parent, as a parent or as a kid. If you realize that your motivation might be anything, but
Right.
please put them in sport, because fundamentals will be taught. You will wake up at a certain time. There is a discipline to what you do.
Yeah.
You see around that if you work hard, you're going to get something.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get something. You'll have a lot of friends, like-minded friends who are doing the same thing together. There's a nice social circle for parents as well to talk about these things, the progression of their career. You understand the competitive environment. How do you behave in a competitive environment? How do you understand it? You should understand that finally work pays. You keep working hard, and then this is a long process. You learn patience. You learn a lot of things, which I feel regular going, like school going kids or regular people don't understand, to face adversity and to keep fighting. And
Yes.
that there's another day. Take it easy, man. I mean, there's another day. You can
Yes.
keep fighting. And which I felt even in my family, actually, my sister also, I felt, one adversity, one particular situation, and she gave up. And I would, whatever the environment, I would just say, she didn't take that loss as it's okay. You fail. What is there? You go ahead, you move on, you do something else, you figure it out. You sulk, you do whatever it is, but you know that there's another day coming. You can fight the other day. You'll have another opportunity. You'll again have your chance. These things sport teaches in a very nice way.
Now, from a point of view of those who are considering badminton, what is the right age to specialize if you want to play competitively?
7, 6, 7, just join a local academy, find a teacher, a coach who are, ask around and find out whether, there is fundamentals are being taught well, or a particular former top player or someone has, come from this particular center, and, the coach here taught him the fundamentals, skills, something like that. Very basic research. You don't need to have the top Olympian or someone training you, when you want basic fundamentals can be taught anywhere. But you find it, you research a little bit and find a place where, actually, they've progressed. Say
Right.
the under 13 players are good from there. The under 15, there's a top player from this academy who has come through this ranks from here, and that's good enough. 7, I would say, is a good age to start. Not later. I won't say 10, 11 is a good age because they start competing, and finally you want to get the kid to a competitive level. Actually, when
Right.
you start, you learn the fundamentals and slowly put them in tournaments and get them to a competition level so that they learn the fundamentals of life. Exactly.
Right.
Whether they become a good player or not, it depends on whether they are learning the skills at the right time, they are enjoying the sport, they are everything, whatever it is. Do they enjoy competition? Is that kid? And if the guy doesn't enjoy competition, it's still fine. It's not like you'll have to become surely an athlete and you have to become a pro athlete. Maybe some people enjoy doing something else.
Right.
Every kid is different. Every kid is like probably good in studies and or who's skillful at a different other place, or doesn't like competition, doesn't consider competing a thing, who's in his own time, he does his own thing and he is good at something else. And but you will understand all these things if you put them in these kind of environments, because the fundamentals you will know at whatever you are skillful, how much ever skillful you are, you will have to work hard at the end of the day
Right.
for whatever, if you want to achieve something.
Yeah, for parents of young kids who love playing badminton casually. I mean, I have a friend, she has a kid who plays locally and is athletic, has some natural athletic ability, but she says, I'm not sure. What am I supposed to do from here? Are there any, I don't know, assessments that help you understand, does this, should they, because, it's a huge investment to say, okay, I'm going to shift this kid from, let's say, here to, if you have to move to another city,
Yeah.
how do you know that your child has the talent, or apart from interest,
I mean, unless you put them in that environment, you don't.
you won't know? Okay,
You
got
just, if you think the moment you are having that doubt, you should do it. If you can do it, if you have the means, you have the sources
it.
to do it, you do it. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Of course, if you can't do it, you can't do it. But
Yeah.
if you can do it and you have the option and you want to figure out whether this is an option, you will have to at least do it for, say, a few months and then see how it goes and then, experiment. It's all trial and error. There's no one particular way that it's going to work. Of course, if the kid is already very talented and, already at a good level, then I would say go find a proper coach, a proper center where, things are happening in a certain way and then top players are being produced from that center. You should have to try it and do it. And I have seen a couple of athletes, even in the last 2, 3 years, who have said, say parents have being soft and said, the kid, she can't stay alone, she can't do this, and we are scared to send her, and she's already at a top level. And I'm like, what do you want from her career? You want her to win or what? Like, so this is a very basic sacrifice. I can give you 10 people who have done this and have achieved a good level. So what is stopping you?
Right.
I mean, if you want it, of course, the center is there, and then you'll have to travel. And she has to be alone and she has to go through this hard process. Unfortunately, or you move totally, your family moves and you figure it out. There are families who have moved. And so that is a leap of faith you have to take. I'm lucky that Gopi became a chief coach and the National Training Center is here. If it was in Bangalore, until my 19 years old, all the national camps were in Bangalore. We were traveling there. I was traveling there. I was staying alone. I was traveling there. I was doing all my sub junior national camps and junior national camps in Bangalore for months on. So I think it depends on what you actually want. If you want it, then you'll have to do it.
And if a parent is considering competitive badminton for their children seriously, what are some of the tough realities that they should be mindful of before they do that?
Financially, first of all, you'll have to understand where is it going and what are the. You'll have to understand that it takes time. It takes a lot of time. Unless the kid is exceptionally talented and gets all the results immediately, it is a time taking process. And what are your goals? What do you want us to achieve? And is the coach getting enough time? If coach getting enough time, is the player having enough time to adjust to the environment? Same thing I told you, like someone from Delhi is coming and training in South. Suddenly everything is different. Environment is different. Suppose you have not moved and she's just in the national camp in the sharing rooms with other colleagues, or he or she, they have to adjust to the environment. They have to feel like home, and it takes time. They have to feel like, this is my center. I'm training here. Everyone is working for me. So all these takes time. The coach takes time. The player takes time. The environment takes time to get into you, and then you feel at home, and then you start competing. All these things take time. So a lot of patience. Of course, the financial thing, but it depends on what level the player is. If he's already in the Indian team, or if he's a player who's sorted out with his finances, then there's nothing to work. Otherwise, the expenses to it, if you can afford it, how long can you afford it? Okay, give it a trial period. Trial period should be like a prolonged period. It can't be for a couple of months or, few weeks. It has to be a long period of time, like a year or 2 years, 3 years. It depends. It's different for every individual. A lot of patience. Yeah.
From a financial point of view, I mean, I think a lot of pressure comes once you start playing nationals or international, because there's a lot of travel involved. And then you have a whole set of people traveling, whether it's your parents or coach or the experts. Is there support now if you're playing at that level in terms of scholarships, etc.? Or
Of course.
do the parents need to be mindful till what point is the, the burden of the financial?
It is directly proportional to the results of what the it is giving. Then you have all the sponsors, and it's nothing like when it was. It's crazy now. You have so much support. If you do well, you have a lot of people to support you. You have all the finances, all the organizations, the academies. Everyone is there to support you. If you are at a good level, if you are not at a good level, it is a struggle. A good level would be, say, the top few players in the country in any age group.
At national level.
At the national level. Of course, at the national level. Yes. Yeah, yeah. Of course, at the national level.
Yeah.
If you're doing well, and then before, say, I'm telling you, when I was 18 and I lost the junior nationals final, I didn't have a job. I was number two in the country. Number two, number three. Was in the world junior team, was in the Asian junior team. Didn't have a job till then. The number one and the number two had a job. I didn't have one. And then I lost in the junior national final. I was number two. I thought I have a job. I don't. I still don't. Until I became top 4 or 5 in the senior circuit, started winning tournaments,
Hmm.
I didn't have a job. So To that, to now the first top 10 in the junior category have stipends happening, have scholarships happening, are part of academies who are taking care of their funding. I have players who have like progressed in the last 2 years from 16 to 18. They have the academies funding them for tournaments. A lot of things are happening. Yeah.
Right.
Scholarships from companies. There's a lot of support happening. Lot
Right.
of support compared to what it was before. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We're
Huge
also
changes.
Yeah, we are also seeing like a lot of athletes who are now leaving full-time school for online schools simply because they have to meet the requirements of the
Yes. Yes.
training.
Yes.
What's your view? Should it be at a certain age or stage? I mean, I know in a different sport, parents who may have gotten their children into at 6 years of age into, let's say, homeschooling and stuff, but there can be questions about holistic development of the child also. You
Yes. Yes.
view on at what age should this happen, or on the whole thing of whether you do full-time school or online school?
We all finished our exams, ma'am. Like we all studied. Didn't go to school so much. I would say until 8th, 9th, and 10th, I was half day schooling. I was
Mm.
going to school.
Yes.
And I've seen kids now, the more competition, the more people, some of them go, some of them don't. It depends on the level of the player. Where is he? If he's you feel there is a doubt, he has to do both. Because finally, I think the more they realize the maturity they get about their career and make choices. They have to be given the picture. Boss, if you are at this level, this is fine. You're going to make it. There's going to be a scholarship. There's going to be everything. There's sorted. If it doesn't happen, then you'll have to study also. You keep that in mind and keep your leg in both this thing and then see where it is going. And then you push. You like something, you want something to happen dearly, then go push all out, but don't totally, go blank on the other side. Like say you stop schooling and you stop studying only and then you full on you go this but you go towards this but you're not good enough. Someone we Parents, coaches, someone has to sit down and counsel the kid that boss, this is you have to do this.
Mm.
You're not at, you can't compare yourself to another kid who's exceptional in sport and getting all the results and they're actually not studying, or it makes sense for that person, but I
Mm.
can't do the same thing. Say colleagues only like Saina and they were exceptional. They were exceptional, but I was still studying and I was still because by that 17, 18, like I told you, I got to know that, boss, I like this, I want to do this, but I'm not good enough. I'm not
Mm.
getting a job here. I have to figure this out properly. I have to give okay, I asked my mom, give me another year. But I know if another year doesn't happen, I already joined the graduation. I joined BCom and I was doing BCom. And
Mm.
I'm like thinking, my mind is saying that if this doesn't happen, I'm going to give my everything here. If this doesn't happen, I'll have to figure out this BCom, I have to do something and then probably, think of doing a CA or an MBA or something and progress from there. Try and excel somewhere else. Because I want to be successful. I want to be stable financially. I want to be in these things the kid has to understand. Now, what is his family setup? What is his background? All these things come into play, but the kid has to be told these things. Reality check has to happen. They have to be not like course rahe ho ya you're trying to demean them, but reality has to be told to them. They have to understand, and then the fight is on for them. What they want. They
Right.
have to see where do they enjoy, what do they enjoy. And now I feel like I told you, even if you become like a decent level player, you can make your mark as a coach also.
Mm.
There's so many academies at different levels. At whatever level you are, those many academies are there, those many kids are there. You can make your life as a coach also. You can make your life as something else also. Or you can stop and start studying. There are so many kids and so many colleagues of mine who have stopped, went into business school, made a name for themselves. They are in a very top level positions, because their fundamentals are there. They've worked really hard.
Yeah, yeah. And you also spoke about how, social media is a thing today. There's so much distraction for the players, but also, there's a lot of pressure to be seen online, could be for different
Yes.
reasons, for
Yes. Yes.
visibility, for sponsorship opportunities. And this is
I
really
would say someone else has to manage it. If you're actually keen on it, makes sense. Sponsorship opportunities are there. All these things are there. Get managed by someone else, or the parent takes care of it, or someone. The kid has to be away from distractions
Right.
because there should be a lot more focus because the job at hand is very, very intense and very tough. And the more you stay away from distractions, the more you are more focused. And, then there is a reality check. Otherwise, sometimes you lose yourself in this.
Right.
Sometimes, no, I think 100% of the times you'll lose yourself and you need people just taking care of it. Because it is important. I'm not going to shy away from it. Of course, it is important nowadays. All the financial opportunities. I mean, after a certain level, people want to see you visible. You will have to delegate that work to someone else, not the athlete. not the athlete.
I'm mindful. I think we've exceeded our time a lot. If you
No
have
problem.
5 or 10 minutes more to go, just final segment on parents' role. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see? When parents they're eager for their children to succeed in competitive badminton. What are the mistakes that you see parents making?
Hastiness, I would say, right now.
Use best.
Yeah, just being hasty, being impatient,
Right.
not trusting the process, not seeing the bigger picture. A girl who's talented, who's come, and I don't want to name names, but the bigger picture is you want to see her on the podium in the next few years. You know, if you think that there is a possibility,
Mm.
but fundamentals have to be solid right now. And I'm not worried about the next 6 months or the 1 year. I'm thinking 3 years later, 4 years later. But if you don't have, and she's 17. At
Mm.
21, I want her to win every tournament in the world. It's possible because she has the mentality. But
Mm.
skills have to improve a lot, and it takes time.
Right.
It takes a lot of time because you have learned something, your fundamentals, you learned something, which some of them have helped, but there are a lot of loopholes. I want you to improve that. You
Right.
don't have the resilience. And when I'm teaching you, obviously, there are some things being neglected, and then probably you're not getting the result which you expect you should get right now. You're in this race with everyone else, but you're not seeing the eventually everything. When everything falls in place, you will just sprint ahead of everyone because your skill is so strong right now. Your skills, your techniques, you have improved so much. Suddenly you're just going to race ahead of everyone, but they don't see the big picture.
Right.
So at least it's up for discussion.
Right.
They are just making decisions on their own. They're very hasty and in a hurry because your colleagues who are your other parents of kids are progressing suddenly in front of you, and you have worked on something else. The bigger picture is not being seen, and you're actually the person who's working for you and making these decisions is a top player like me, at the top 10 level, Olympian, this medal, that medal, whatever it is. I know what the big picture is because I know how my coaches have handled me, and I have seen several other coaches. I'm not seen only my career, I've seen other careers also. So
Right.
I'm learning from a huge pool of my sample size is like massive.
Mm.
Your sample size is your next colleague. You're just comparing it to him and his kid, his daughter, and you're not seeing the big picture. That is the only thing I would say. So parents are becoming a hindrance now, not actually an asset. You have to put them at a top. When you have reached a certain level, you've put them at a top coach. Leave it for a certain period, and trust that there is interaction all the time. There's no problem with that. You keep interacting and understanding what it is happening, where it is. You go back and forth, and you give it time.
Think parents have to deal with their own peer pressure a little better, not listen
Yes.
to what the peer group is saying, trust the
Yes.
coach and his advice in terms of what he's saying. One question I'm tempted to ask, though, I remember hearing Saina speak about how, I mean, she shifted after 6 years or so, she
Hmm.
was being able to make in her journey shift, and then she shifted coach. I think she moved to Gopi Chand sir. How does a parent or an athlete know, like, what could be the one is that you speak with your own coach and they can guide
Just
you.
to even take that example is absolutely wrong.
Mm.
2009, she broke into the top 5 in the world rankings.
Right.
2009 to 2014, she didn't drop out of the top 5. She lost in 7, 8 quarterfinals of the World Championships and the Olympics.
Right.
She took a decision in 2014 that she has to move centers because she wants to beat 2, 3 players, which is not happening. So, this
Mm.
particular scenario is
Does
not
not
an
do.
example to anyone.
Okay.
To anyone. It is
Mm.
you reach that level and then make this decision,
Okay.
And so, that example is not there for everyone. It is just
Okay.
for the elite level,
And it left.
and we should not forget that she's been reaching quarterfinals of every event. She's number 4 on the list of people who have not lost before quarterfinals in any world event for 10 years.
Yes.
That is something mad. That is just crazy. I mean, that achievement on its own, it's like Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, Lindan, Lee Chong Wei, that kind of level of consistency. It's
Fair
just
point.
like a thing for her, the way she was every day.
Mm.
And also the center she was. It's not a bad result. For
Mm.
her standards were so high that she wanted to beat a couple of players, which is not happening. She felt stagnated. It's very individual. Maybe everything was right was happening, and then the result was around the corner only. It's just that you have felt stagnated because you are in a center for since 2000, God knows when, the same
Mm.
coach, same situation, same environment, same everything. Probably your mind needed a change.
Got it.
It is blown out of proportion here. Djokovic changes every coach in like 6 months or a year. And, it's elite sport, Olympic elite level sport, elite level changes, and it's not a big deal actually. It's just made a big deal in India because it's another situation where drama is created. But sport is not, you know, some random thing. Sport is a complete different ball game where we don't understand things.
Right.
India is not sports savvy, so it
Mm.
just like it becomes like a huge thing, but it is actually not. It's a decision which only at that level you'll understand that you probably needed it or you didn't need it. You don't know. At that point of time, I'm not going to assess what was that decision and why it was made on what it was. For her, it felt right. She
Right.
needed a just a change of space and change of mentality, and which worked for her. She reached world number one and she won. She reached the final of the world championships. Everything changed. She made a couple of decisions, and 5 minutes here and there in her favor, she would have won the All England. She would have won the world championship. Something like that. So
Right. Fair
yeah,
point.
you can't. Youngsters coming up can't take that as an example.
As an example, got that. Now, you've spoken about how parents have to be crazy because of the journey that this needs. They you really need to be crazy to be on this. And I mean, some of them are crazy in ways, and that they are doing everything. They are rolling into becoming coaches, managers, social media managers. And given the financial commitment and the emotional investment, all of this is relatable, but it may also end up putting a lot of pressure and cause burnout. To the kids. You have a view on that?
Like I said, I mean,
I mean, they're quitting their
I-
jobs.
it is very competitive. It is so much of sacrifice.
Hmm.
You hear all these stories. Sharapova was dad waiting tables and doing odd jobs just to make Sharapova continue playing as a kid. You see all these different other stories. People moving. Junior national champion now who's there with me last year's junior national champion moved with entire family to this place, to the center, leaving jobs, moving here, doing this, doing that. Elite sport is not a easy thing. It's not going to be comfortable. You are trying to be number one in India. There are like a lakh people playing this. Why? I mean, how? And
Hmm.
that is why sport is, what it is. That is why you get the respect because it is crazy. At the top, it is so tough, competitive. It's risk it all. So many things.
Yeah.
It's not like you do an engineering job and everyone has, a job, a basic job everyone has. It's not like that.
Yeah.
The top spots are very few, and then you need to do something absolutely elite to, elite mentality, elite everything. And it is no doubt it is tough for the parents. Again, they have to stay sane. They have to understand that it is a patient game. You'll have to wait. You'll have to give it enough time.
Yeah. So I was saying that, because parents are taking on this role, they're quitting their jobs, they're full time, like managers of their kids' careers.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
also means that they will end up having huge expectations, lots of pressure.
yeah,
Question
yeah,
was
yeah.
that can it be a negative, that can it end up causing
It is
burnout?
because the risk to reward का ratio है वैसे इतना
Hmm.
है.
Hmm.
इतना तो it is there. So you figure out where is your balance.
Hmm.
Of course, I don't want people to burn out, and it is a long term thing. You need to stay patient. But I can't sweet talk it and say, there won't be burnout. There is going to be burnout. But the guy who actually gets through will keep on going. Like the same thing I said, the champion doesn't get tired. He just keeps fighting. And like if I see my journey, if I see Saina's journey, if I see Pranoy's journey, if I see someone else's journey, they just kept on hanging on and kept fighting.
Right.
Otherwise, many opportunities and many thoughts and many instances are there where like, chodo bhai,
Hmm.
bas, you know.
Correct.
But you actually want something more. You enjoy it. You have reached a decent level and you're enjoying it. So at different stages, it is different.
Right. Right.
If you have other options, please go for it. I mean, why not? I mean, if it's not a failure. You just learn and you understand that, boss, I'm not good at this, and you do something else. Fair and square. There's no failure. I don't see anything as a failure. You probably are probably going to be exceptional at something else or
Hmm.
not. If
Hmm.
it's not for you, it's not for you. It's not a big deal. Everything should not be blown out of proportion. It's not like only sports persons are the people who deserve to live in this planet and others are not. नहीं है. Sometimes we just uh, also the culture, our media has blown it out of proportion. Someone wins a medal they'll come up with stories like I didn't eat ice cream for 6 months, I didn't see my phone for 2 years. All nonsensical, stupid bullshit stories, which I feel I have seen these colleagues, and I just feel like why would they say some things like this? Next time I win, I'll say I didn't eat for 10 days. You'll believe that? I mean, it's so silly. Some of the stories, and I don't know, media likes it. Media likes these silly stories, and you feel like, we are gods. We are like saints. We are not doing anything wrong. Everything is right and we are exceptional people. Of course not, man. We have our share of fun. We do our mistakes. We have our own life. We have our own struggles. And it is not all, smooth like that. So you can see it in my life only. We are all, every time there's a struggle everywhere.
Mm.
So it's just like, it's not that. And we are not failures if we fail. We can do something else better. I don't feel there is any, this term failing at a particular thing it's not there. I mean, you just move on to the next one, man. Come on.
Yeah, love it, what you said.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, I think it reminded me, I spoke with Abhinav Bindra in the previous one, and he was also speaking about humanizing also the athlete to say, this whole superhero myth that you can't do any wrong,
Yeah.
really fabricated. One thing I want to ask you did say that not every talented player, I mean, and even talented players may not reach on top, in
Yes.
badminton, and many will face the financial logistical challenges along the way, especially I think between 18 years and 23 years. That period of
Yes.
reckoning comes in your life, and
Yes.
now you
Yes.
need to make a choice. Now, those who have not made it to the elite level in today's age, what are the options? Are there options or pathways that are available for them to continue?
Yeah, you realize your level, what you are going to do, and make sure you're doing something else. You're continuing your studies or you're pursuing something else.
Hmm.
Acceptance is important. So being critical, either it's a parent or the coach or someone being critical and telling you, boss, you need to do this also.
Yeah.
Because your skill level is this, your talent is this, you're working hard, you're a great kid, or you're not, you buck up and work harder. Or if
Right.
you're working hard and it's still not falling in place, you'll have to understand that this is the level you can do. I think then the individual is at peace. Was I'm capable of this, with this I can do this much. Indians I feel like lack a little bit because very dependent on family and coaches and everyone. I feel Europeans are on their own as an individual from 15, 16. They're away from their
Hmm.
families
Yeah. Yeah.
and they have to
Because
do their own odd jobs to
hmm.
survive. They have to, then they'll be training also. Like I remember when I was coming up and I was playing the circuit, I would just feel the Europeans and the others are a little more mature than me because I'm very dependent on my mother, or all my finances are taking care of my mother.
Hmm.
All my doubts are with my coach. मैं तो
Hmm.
मतलब अपना self effort कुछ है ही नहीं. Everything I'm dependent. I understood it very late.
Right. And how early would you say that parents should step back and let kids take ownership of their own sporting journey? And what does that healthy independence look like?
Again, this is like very subjective to the character of the
Different.
kid. How is he developed? What is happening? Some kids are very focused from the start. You just, maybe parents have taught them, maybe they've picked it up from their colleagues, the environment they're in, maybe they've picked it up from their friends. You don't know. Some people are just like, every day you see them, they're just focused. I don't need to tell them anything. Some
Hmm.
people are just like a little late to sessions all the time, a little lazy all the time, shying away from battles all the time, or small battles, like something is hurting, something, you're not coming back again. Some people are over excited about every day. There are some ADHD problems, it's just like they're not able to calm down. Only they're always in the hunt of doing something. So it's very subjective. There is no particular answer to this key. You
Got
leave them alone. You know that they're focused, and then you see them every day, then you can leave them alone. They're sorted, they're taking care. And once in a while, just give a check and see, discipline them, or give a check if they're faltering. If
Yeah.
they're very focused and they're overly focused and they're then you'll have to tell them, boss, relax, go meet your friends, do something, have fun. Because I was that guy.
Hmm.
This guy actually, this Tom sir, when he came also, he told me, what are you doing on the weekends? I remember one of the times he came and I'm like, no, I'm just like thinking, I'm just sitting, I'm just watching matches, I'm sipping water the whole day, I'm just wanting to recover and I want to do well on the Monday. He was like, back off. That is why you're so uptight on Monday, or throughout the week, you're just so uptight and so nervous all the time because you just want to be perfect every day. It's like, Saturday, Sunday, just go out with your friends, have a good time, go watch a
Hmm.
movie, just relax, enjoy. Active recovery. Don't just sit in your house and, think about the next day, the whole day, and just be stressed about it.
Hmm.
There's only so much water you can have. Like, these are the statements. He actually said it. There's only so much water you can have. What are you going to do? Just go out with your friends, just have another life also. And,
Hmm.
get relaxed. I want you relaxed on Monday and fresh, not like worked up and stressed. How is it going to be, or what is going to happen. So different athletes have to be different, kids have to be treated differently, and parents will know, coaches will know. So that kind of bonding has to happen. You'll have to check
Yeah.
with them all the time, and whether they have to be left alone or not, you will realize it. It's very subjective. There's no particular answer to it.
Right. Right. But I'm sure you took his advice to heart. I mean, it's lovely to see some of your songs on Instagram when you're singing, and so much spirit behind it. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
it is important to have other dimensions. Thank you, Kashyap. You've been just so patient and so passionate. I just have one final question, which is in terms of the promising young badminton talent that you see right now. I mean, because a lot of general public or fans are watching, and who are the people that you would say that we could watch out as a country, who's some of our emerging young talent?
Oh, there are like so many guys. I mean, of course, the people who are like winning at the top junior level, I would say at our center we have the last year's junior national champion Pranay Shettigar. There's a Mizoram guy Tajwala. There is Pranav Ram. These are the, I would say, the top three four juniors. Who are like say 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds. There are three four girls who are very good, Rakshita, Shreyanshi, who are doing well at the Indian circuit, one winning of a few tournaments in the 100 level. They're all 18, 17-year-olds. Some other the next batch of 22, 23, 3-year-olds are also there. There's Shankar, who's the silver medalist in World Junior Championships, who just joined me a few months back. Shankar Muthuswamy. Then there is Tarun Mannepalli, who's training with me in the last 2 years, probably from 150. He's reached a ranking of 40 now, but he has to step it up now. He's 23, 24 years old. And this being said, then there is Priyanshu, who's been injured for a year. He's a bright prospect for India. He's also working with us. Hopefully, in the next few years, he picks up. Leaving our center aside, you have Ronak Chauhan, who's very good. I've seen him in the last few tournaments. He's very good, a lot of energy, has a good mentality. I've heard good things about him. He's training at the Guwahati Center right now. There is Tanvi Sharma, who made it to the World Juniors final, Asian Juniors medalist. There's another girl who won the bronze medal along with her in the Asian Juniors, Venela. She's also training here. She's also a very bright prospect. Yeah, there's Tanvi Sharma. There's the next set of girls who are there who are Anmol Kharab, there's Unnati Hooda who's doing well. Yeah, these two girls I can see who are doing well. In other centers, there's Ayush Shetty who's brilliant, who's got an exceptional game. He's training in Bangalore. It's actually my colleague. I remember telling you that I lost the junior national final in 2004. Unfortunately, he got injured later in his career and he had to quit abruptly. His name is Sagar Chopra. He's the coach there in Bangalore. So he's doing a good job. Ayush Shetty is at a good level. He's able to win tournaments at this 300 level. He's got an exceptional game. I see him a guy who can achieve major results if he's pushed in the right way, in the right direction, has a good mindset, and he does. And then there's I think he's very bright from there. And yeah, there's exceptional talent across India. I mean, there are so many kids who are so good. I'm not even getting to the under 17 and under 15 level yet. There are a lot of exceptional kids who are coming up. There's the under 15 national champion trains here. His name is Shashank. He's very good. Exceptional he is. There is another girl, Tanvi Patri, who trains, I think, in Bangalore right now. I'm not sure where, but she's very good. She was the under 15, under 17 national champion. There's another girl who won the under 15 and under 17 national championships this year, who's also exceptional. I've heard things about them. So I'm very very try focused and very my picture is like very here in the Gopichand Academy, who all in this center, who all are there, but I can see there is exceptional talent around. I mean, hopefully I get to work with these kids and, at least the kids we have. I hope I can, push their careers a little ahead. And it's a tough process. I mean, it is pressure. We feel it every day.
Hmm.
And as a player, it was so easy. I mean, I'm just selfishly working just for myself and it was fine. But now there are so many kids, different mentalities, different people, and trying to make them progress. Exceptional talent, I would say. In India is capable of so much more. Just systems and people like us and different my colleagues, everyone. We all have to work together and actually build characters who can perform at the highest stage. Skill, though, we'll teach them, but character building is the main thing.
Any lessons from other countries who do well in badminton?
The systems are in place, I would say. A good system is in place. There is one person heading the sport. Sports persons are heading the sport. Their
Hmm.
sporting culture is different, which is very disciplined and which is very steady, I would say.
Hmm.
Not scattered and not, I would say, fickle. It keeps changing all the time. That doesn't happen. They have a steady set rules and steady set goals, and they keep doing the same. They keep doing the same. They keep upgrading, and then they keep churning out top level coaches, players getting into coaching system, training them to be top coaches. And I think that we have to progress. I think we are getting there. We're
Right.
getting there. Some we faltered. I feel a couple of years we have faltered, and hopefully we get back. hopefully we get back.
Fantastic. One unrelated question, which is as an athlete couple, I think, and this is happening a lot more now as people spend. I mean, whichever line of work you are, your doctors together or your whichever sport you are, often people come together. How is it like? Do you only speak about sport all the time, or how does the personal dynamics? Or what advice would you give to other athlete couples to be mindful of?
Please. When it comes to relationships, I'm not the greatest. I mean, it has worked out. I mean, she was my girlfriend when I was 18 years old, and she's 15 years old. And it was easy. It was convenient, frankly. Obviously, we liked each other, and our goals were same to progress in sport. That's all we would talk about. And we wouldn't get enough of it as well because we were just like extremely driven, I would say both of us were when it came to sport. Similar mentalities to just keep grinding every day as hard as we can, and that is all we could talk about. Yeah, but from a relationship standpoint, it just worked for a lot of years. Now it is tougher once the sport is not there. But yeah, we are hanging on. I would say I don't know if I can. So, an advice from me about a couple in a relationship: you're learning every day. Just have the mindset that you just you have to understand each other better, and you're learning every day because uh, I think life overall, I would say, is change. You accept changes, it's easier for you. Both are different individuals. Individuals have different mindsets, backgrounds, perspectives, and nothing is wrong or right. Everything is very relative, and you just understand fundamentals. I don't have any particular advice. I'm still learning. I'm still learning, and we've had our bad times, good times, but yeah, we just keep learning and trying to keep a sane mind. I mean, I would say, frankly, as individuals, you have to love yourself first. You have to love yourself first. You have to be at peace with yourself and honest with yourself. Rest of it, the spouse will be happy with you. I mean, it will sort out. But if you're not at peace with yourself and you're not understanding yourself, you're not happy with yourself, then it reflects on the relationship, and then the other person also gets a little agitated, and I think like that it is because sporting couples, as long as they're both of them are playing, it's all fine. But I would also say one thing. I think where I think I would say we probably were careless about is discuss the future. Discuss the future when there is no sport.
Right.
Yeah, I think I we didn't. We took
Right.
it a little carelessly, like that sporting, that athlete attitude ना देख लेंगे.
Hmm.
क्या ही होगा मतलब देख लेंगे, but ऐसा नहीं होता है. You will have to discuss it, which I felt. I spoke to other colleagues also who found this. We spoke about it and we found this the key. Please discuss about the future, your likes, your dislikes. What you a basic picture of what you would want in the in the near future, or when the sport is not there. That we didn't discuss, and that's why we struggled a little bit in between. But we are trying to get to terms to it, and accept a lot of things. But that has to be discussed. I feel that is probably. I think, yeah, that is the only suggestion I would give. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you did give a very valuable advice eventually also. Kashyap, thank you so much. I have to tell you, I really admire how you mince no words. You say things how they are. You really hold your heart on your sleeve in the sense that you speak fearlessly. You speak of all your vulnerabilities and you really said things as they are, not how they sound politically correct, not how no pussyfooting around things. Really, really appreciate what you shared in the conversation. Thanks so much for making time.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a good conversation. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.